What is going on, guys? Oh my God, I have not done one of these in a long, long time. Look at this. Woo! Welcome to the Random Review Pro Wrestling. I am here in Vegas. Um, so I figured I'm going to be here all week. I do not have enough stuff to do all the editing and whatnot from my hotel room. So I figured I might as well just do a live stream tonight and cover the latest news that I know of in the world of pro wrestling. We didn't even do our Power Struggle review, but I am here in Vegas doing some other stuff. I'm actually here for an authors conference because you guys know I do other stuff. So I'll be here all week. But I did want to catch up with you guys in the wrestling world and talk about what's going on. So if you're new, and you're joining us here, just hop into the chat and add your voice. Let your voice be heard in the chat in the comment box below. Let me take these glasses off because we got a glare coming in here from the light that I can get in this room. So this is going to be fairly quick, but I did want to go over what happened with Power Struggle this past week and some of the news that came out after it. So um, hopefully you guys can hear me. Is everything going on, Ray? Audio? If you can't hear me, just let me know. I think we're all good. We put the volume up. I haven't done one of these in a long time. This has been a long time since I've done a live stream. There we go. Oh, we've already got who you, who have I got winning the best of the Super Juniors? What's going on, Demetrius? How good to see you again. Best of the Super Juniors. That's a toss up. I actually did. I can hear you clearly. Oh, you can hear me clearly. What's going on, Apple? Yeah, I did a recording of the video earlier today because I did bring my camera with me, but the lighting in this room is not very good. So I recorded it. It didn't look really good. So I just said if we're not going to get good video, might as well just do a live stream. Um, I think yeah, some people said ELP. I think Hiromu would seem to be the obvious choice, right? Because El Desperado won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship this past weekend. So um, I would say Hiromu, but you got Sho and Yo doing their thing right now, so that's a definite possibility about Sho and Yo showing up. And then winning the tournament, you got Taiji Ishimori still in the mix with this as well. El Phantasmo, as many people have mentioned. Um, there's a lot of guys that could possibly win it. And keep in mind, too, that Wrestle Kingdom is 3 days next year. So it's, I think, much like the world title picture, and we'll talk about that in a second, they could run with multiple people doing it. But we'll get into that in a second. So I want to do my thoughts on the Power Circle show from last weekend. Just covering over some of the big points. Obviously, the House of Torture, Evil. You know what? I'm not gonna hate on them. House of Torture actually was fairly decent in this match. It was the usual bunch of BS and chicanery, but they did win the Never Openweight Six Man Tag Team Championships from the Chaos Team with Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshihashi, and yes, my guy Hiroki Goto. So they fell. I mean, it was time for them to lose that title. Goto and Yoshihashi and Ishii they made a good run with the IWGP Never Openweight Champ. They're the best Never Openweight Six Man Tag Champion since that belt was made a couple years ago. So no big problems with that. The other big title change was Robbie Eagles, who I think is a little bit too much of a baby face to hold that title, but he did fall to El Desperado. Despy, once again, still killing it. They're still running with him. He's a great hand, so I definitely appreciate um, the way they booked that match. Robbie Eagles got his leg worked on the whole time. He was selling it really good, too. You know, he's screaming about his leg half the time during the match. Despy just kept working on it, got the stretch muffler, and got a bunch of crazy submissions on it. And I was shocked that the submission came as quick as it did. But Desperado holding the championship does lend you to think you might get Hiromu. Hiromu wants that main event at the Tokyo Dome for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. I think, given that match that they had last year, about almost a year ago, but we're about a month from that match they had last year where Despy took off the mask. It was one of the best junior matches of last year. So that rematch, I could see that rematch possibly headlining Tokyo Dome. Yano's match with the Great Okan, we got to talk about it. So they went for an old school wrestling thing. They had this very long, elaborate explanation of the points, and Yuji Nagata was out there and holding up the cards and everything else. I thought what they were trying to do was fine. I think it kind of killed the momentum of the show. You can kind of tell with the crowd too. The crowd kind of fell off a little bit. But Yano won that match, retained the Never Openweight Championship. Okan attacked him afterwards, but I think that's leading to Okan and Yano having another crazy stipulation match, or maybe a series of them for Wrestle Kingdom. So I didn't enjoy it too much, but I see what they were trying to do with it. Tama Tonga taking on Okada, Kazuchika Okada, the G1 champion with the fourth generation belt. I think possibly, I think it was for the belt, and obviously for the right to challenge at Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. A little weird at the beginning, but well, actually, it was a fast paced beginning. It was a little weird at some points in the match where I think they were trying to give Tama, or they were trying to work it where Tama would look like a more legitimate threat. But we all know, those of us who've been following New Japan for a while, you guys know that when a guy gets that big main event slot the first time out, typically speaking, unless you're Okada or Jay White, you're not going to win the championship. You're not going to win the big one on your first tryout. But this was Tama getting his feet wet and him going into his first really big major singles main event match. I think he did an outstanding job against Okada. Okada is, again, like I said, Okada right now is kind of almost back to what he was in 2016, 2017 during that historic run as IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So it's cool to see this match. Okada did get the win in the end with the Rainmaker, and Zack Sabre Jr. and Shingo Takagi for the heavyweight championship. We all knew that Zack probably wasn't going to win that match. It was a very low percentage of a chance of him winning that match, but he did a great job. The two of them have a great chemistry with each other. I love seeing Zack and Shingo, and Zack working on the arm, Shingo coming back with the power, Shingo not being able to hang quite with Zack on the wrestling holds and the grappling, and Zack not quite being able to hold up with Shingo on the strikes because Shingo's just a powerhouse and just knocks him on his ass all the time. But I thought it was a cool main event match. Afterwards, Shingo and Okada got together and they basically decided they're not going to do what Jay White did last year. They're not going to wait till the last night. They're going to do theirs on the first night, proper January 4th main event, Okada versus Shingo for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I haven't heard anything about them, whether or not the belts are going to be done. I've been really busy the last 2 days at this conference, so I haven't really been able to catch up with too much. But I wanted to check. I wanted to check out on that. The one bit of news that did not escape me while I was doing a 12-hour flight yesterday was that Tetsuya Naito is coming back. Naito is coming back kind of early from his injury. He's going to be teaming with Sonata in World Tag League, which makes me kind of think that they're going to win World Tag League, because what are you going to do with Naito? You're not going to have one of your major stars not be in a championship main event match. So I think it might be a thing where you might, I don't know if it's going to be the World Tag titles for the main event on night 2, or if it's going to be Hiromu against whoever the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion is on night 2. But there's got to, I think the second night is not going to be headlined by the IWGP Championship. We also got to keep in mind that, lurking in the back, we got Will Ospreay. He's still got his claim, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, his version of it. He's going to be involved in the mix. Jay White, I don't know where they're going to bring him into the mix. So there's a lot of stuff that they still got to work out for Wrestle Kingdom that I'm really excited about. But let's look at the chat here. You guys have been chatting a lot. Let me look at the chat here and try to catch up on what you guys are doing here. Demetrius says Shingo should go over on Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. Of course, he said DDT's Pro Wrestling Universe is for free right now until January 2022. They started that on October 1st. So definitely go check that out, guys. Okada needs to go over Shingo, in my opinion, so shut your mouth. I love what Despy is doing. Seems to be a little big for a junior division. Yeah, Despy does look like he belongs in the heavyweights. He's kind of entering that Tai Chi phase. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Let's see. God, the current IWGP World Title belt design is trash, says Abel. Let's see. Shut your mouth says Okada is the right guy to lead the New Japan into the 50th year. Yeah, that's another thing too. It's the 50th year New Japan coming up. I think they probably want to go with Okada, and the fact that they're probably going to get crowds back within the next 12 months. The COVID rate is very low right now in Japan. I think it's almost to the beginning of the pandemic as far as levels of COVID infection. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I want to see when, because the trip I'm taking now is a trip I probably was going to save to take in January to go to Tokyo to go to Wrestle Kingdom, but obviously I couldn't do that, so I decided to do this trip to Vegas to a different thing for a different part of my life. Nothing to do with wrestling, but it's been a fun trip. Actually, I'm enjoying Vegas. I typically did not think I was going to like being in Vegas, especially on the Strip, but the Strip is actually it's weird. It's very artificial, but there's some cool stuff around here, so I'm having a good time. Let's see. Thoughts on Taka Michinoku's return? See, I haven't caught up. I haven't read any wrestling news, so Taka's coming back to New Japan. Cool. I'll be definitely for it. Let's see. Taka Michinoku is also coming back at World Tag. Okay, so it's official. Taka is back in New Japan. Very cool. I'm counting on you guys for this news right now because I haven't read it. I had a 12-hour flight yesterday, and I did not look. I got here and I went right to the conference, and I've been talking to people and networking and doing a lot of stuff from my other business right now. So I haven't caught up on any wrestling news. Didn't hear anything about what happened on Raw. I did see one thing about possibly people trying to get Nia Jax back in WWE, and that's about it. Ibushi's in the mix. Ibushi's well, it was a separated shoulder, so let's see, October, November, December. That's a little. I mean, it's a short time frame for him to come back from that injury. But then again, Naito had I think it was an MCL tear, and he's back in 2 months. I still think that's a little early, but who knows? Kenta. Oh, I also forgot Kenta beating Hiroshi Tanahashi for the U.S. Championship. Kenta's been chasing that U.S. title for so long. He finally got his hands on the damn belt. Congratulations to Kenta. The question is, where do we go now with Kenta? There was a lot of John Moxley talk, but obviously, as we all know, Moxley is right now in rehab for alcoholism. So um, I don't know if Moxley is going to be part of the Wrestle Kingdom. So we'll see. And of course, who knows about Juice Robinson? There's rumors all over the place. So when I get back to the East Coast, I will be catching up on a lot of that stuff. Let's see. Demetrius just deleted, he retracted his message. Now that Kenta is the U.S. champion, do you see Kenta versus CM Punk happening anytime soon? I don't think CM Punk. I don't see him traveling to Japan for Wrestle Kingdom just yet. I think he's trying to establish. He hasn't mentioned anything about it. He said he was open to it, but I don't see it. I think it'd be more of a thing of Kenta going to AEW than I think CM Punk going to New Japan. If it was Daniel Bryan, I would see that. That's a possibility. And the quarantining is also, keep in mind, even if they do have travel, some of these guys got to quarantine. And I don't know if CM Punk or Bryan Danielson will want to quarantine for 2 weeks in Japan, do one or two shows, and then quarantine for another 2 weeks to come back to the States. I don't know if that's something. I mean, Bryan Danielson said he wasn't going to do that right now. So I think we're still a ways off unless it's the guys from Japan coming over to the States, unfortunately, right now. Mason Goldberg says, "Who do you think leaves Wrestle Kingdom Night 3 with the IWGP belt?" Personally, I think I was about to say that. I think Ospreay's going to wind up coming out of Wrestle Kingdom with the championship. Let's see. Troll Savage says Kenta versus Punk what should happen at Wrestle Kingdom. It should. Again, I don't know about Punk going into traveling to Japan because again, that's a month. He's got to take. He would have to take a month. And I also don't think Tony Khan will want CM Punk off of their TV and any kind of a live capacity for a full month because he'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks, then quarantine for 2 weeks to go back. I don't know if he would do that. What's up, True That King? Good to see you again. I want to talk about that. Speaking of CM Punk, I did want to talk about that wonderful promo that him and Eddie Kingston had on Friday. That was just fantastic. Half shoot, half work. So you really got a sense whether or not how much of that is real and how much of it isn't. You really got a sense that Eddie Kingston really does not like CM Punk, and CM Punk really does not feel like giving Eddie Kingston any kind of time. It's got that flavor to it, which I really appreciate. That's the kind of promo which we should get where we don't know if is it true, is it false. are these guys really at each other's throats, or is it just part of the script, or whatever it is? They did it wonderfully well. A lot of it was ad libbed, obviously. The last part they obviously had set up like this is how we're going to end the promo. I'm going to say something about you being gone for 7 years. You headbutt me, and then we'll get into a brawl, pull apart. I thought that was well done. Let's see what else we got here. If you got the vax, I don't think you have to quarantine. I think just Japan's laws. I may be wrong about this. Last time I looked, because I did get vaccinated. Last time I looked, you still had to quarantine for 14 days. If you had to go to, you had to have your vaccination papers, go to Japan. You still had to quarantine for 14 days before you could go out into the general public. So I don't know. Something to look up. Shut Your Mouth says, which show are we all watching this Saturday, Full Gear or Battle of the Valley? I'm watching both of them. But now it depends. Okay, coming from the East Coast, coming over to Las Vegas. Right now it says it's 9 o'clock right now here in Vegas. To me though, it feels like it's midnight. So I'm kind of tired right now. Plus I've been out for the last 48 hours. I've been running around all over Vegas. All over Vegas, all over the strip, basically from conventions and shows and conventions and presentations and giving a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm pretty tired, but what I do plan on when I get back to the East Coast, it will be Saturday, and I'm going to go straight into watching Battle in the Valley and straight into watching Full Gear because I'm definitely not going to miss those shows. I may take a nap. I mean, I got New Japan World, so I can watch Battle in the Valley anytime I want to, but I definitely want to see the Full Gear show live on pay per view. Let's see. Oh, well, I'm back to those old Coco Sports thing where the chat scrolls past what I was reading when I'm trying to read it. Let's see. Mason Goldberg says, "Do you think the Jay White face run they teased back in January will ever come to pass in New Japan, or Jay leave for another promotion?" I don't think Jay's going anywhere anytime soon. I think unless if Jay's going somewhere, if Jay or Juice are going anywhere in January, it'd be AEW. But the thing about that though is that given what we just seen in WWE, why would they either one of them want to go there? I mean, really, honestly, Juice left WWE for exactly the stuff we saw with the releases last week. That's one of the reasons why. Again, I remember him saying in an interview why he was leaving because guys like him, he cut at any time. They don't value. Jay White, they would probably value. I mean, Jay White, I think would do good in WWE, but I don't think. And he did grow up, thinking. Well, he didn't grow up, but his first exposure to wrestling was WWE. He didn't. I think I remember he wasn't a big wrestling fan growing up, but he knew about WWE, and then he found New Japan, and that's why he decided to go over there. I don't see either one of them going to WWE, but I could see them in AEW. I could definitely see or Impact because again, Juice is already in Impact, and so is Jay White basically. So with what they're trying to do in Impact right now, I think they're a good third alternative. I think if you have, and plus we got the tease about Jay White and Omega, a few months ago that they never went anywhere with. It was just a cool moment to have. I would love to see that. I would love to see this Bullet Club Elite thing go somewhere, but I guess it's going to depend next year. Can you get the Bullet Club guys over here in mass? Then we might see that. If you can't, then and given the fact that Kyle O'Reilly might not be in WWE much longer, who knows? If he comes in, we can see I think a lot of us fans would want to see the Undisputed Era versus the Elite in AEW. But again, this is the thing about AEW. There's so many storylines held over from the Indies, from Ring of Honor, from New Japan, even from recently with the different variations of Bullet Club. They've got tons of stuff to work with those guys. Chuck Your Mouth says, my only issue with CM Punk Kingston promo was that the bill for this match feels so thrown together. The promo was great. It had me wanting more. Tony Khan's bill for Full Gear has been meh. I mean, I think a lot of it's because we already knew what the card was. We already knew what the card was. I don't think you need to have 4 weeks of consecutive stuff. I think this this Kingston thing with CM Punk feels a little bit more like something you would see with like Conor McGregor in the UFC, where you don't really need multiple things. You need that one big thing, that this big conflict, and then they can just kind of talk about it for the next, for until the show, until the fight. It feels very much like that. It feels very much like that kind of more. It feels more like an MMA kind of thing than it does a pro wrestling kind of thing, if that makes sense. Do you think? Let's see. Ghost Lawyer says, "Do you think Osprey is going to confront Okada at Battle in the Valley?" I think that's the reason why they put Okada over there. I would say so. Let's see. It's weird Jay being absent from G1 and Japan. It is weird, but it's funny because like 3 years ago, people were complaining about Jay White. Like, he's not that good. He sucks. Blah blah blah. Now everybody's like, "Where's Jay White?" It feels so empty without. It's funny how that goes. Do you think Jay White will show up for Wrestle Kingdom, or will he stay in the US? I think they're going to call everybody over for Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, it's their biggest. They have 3 nights of 4-hour shows, and they're back to full shows now. They're not doing the 5-match shows. They're back to 8, 9, 10 matches on the shows. You have 3 nights of 8 to 10 matches. You can't fill it. It's Wrestle Kingdom. You can't. I mean, they could. I don't. I hope they wouldn't fill it with half of that match card being multi-man meaningless tag matches. You'd have to have something of consequence. You got enough wrestlers to fill out a 3-day Wrestle Kingdom, so I think they're gonna call in all the shots. We'll see. We'll see what they if they're gonna approach this Wrestle Kingdom as if this is a reset, a restart of New Japan, and it's like, okay, 50th anniversary year, New Year, the COVID thing is down. We're going back to being the New Japan you guys all knew and loved. I would think they're gonna call in everybody. They're gonna call in anybody. They might call in Jericho for all we know. They're gonna call in anybody they can to make this Wrestle Kingdom work. So we'll see. Abel says, "Does WWE ever give us a reason to watch their product at this point now?" I mean, I haven't been the ardent. I mean, you guys know I don't watch that much WWE. I watch the pay per views, the major pay per views, and some shows here and there, but I don't watch much of it anyway. So I couldn't really tell you. I'm interested in WrestleMania Survivor Series, which I heard they released. I haven't even looked at the card. I heard they released the Survivor Series teams yesterday or Saturday or whatever. I don't know what day it is anymore, but I heard they released the like out of the blue, out of nowhere. It is like, oh, here's the Survivor Series teams, and it's like, really. I don't know. Demetrius says the partnership between AEW and Impact was very weird. What was your initial thoughts on the partnership? I feel like the Bullet Club should be over at AEW feuding with the Elite. I think the problem with that is that AEW knew that they had Punk coming in. You got Danielson coming in, and I think there's only, again, like I said before, there's so many great stories you can do with it, but there's only so many you can do at the same time. Like, you don't want Hangman Page's, which is almost kind of overshadowed. You don't want Hangman Page winning the championship overshadowed by the fact that Brian Danielson's coming in and CM Punk is coming in. All these guys are targeted towards the Elite, right? So Punk, we expect that at some point in time, Punk is going to go up against the Elite. Danielson's going up against the Elite. You got Jurassic Express against the Elite. We got the obvious future defection of Adam Cole with Bobby Fish sitting in the background and possibly Kyle O'Reilly coming in at some point in time. So I'm doing all this stuff with my hands. I don't know why I'm doing that, but you got these guys possibly coming in. That would be against the Elite. I think throwing the Bullet Club in there on top of it, you would have too many overlapping storylines. I think it's good that they waited. I think they need to wait to the right time to take all these little nuggets that they sprinkled in with Jay White confronting Omega, Hikuleo being over here, Moxley doing his thing, and they need to get it together at some point in time and solidify it. Plus, Bullet Club's got its own internal things. Who knows who's leading it right now? Is Jay White leading it? Is Evil leading it through the House of Torture? Is Tama Tonga now leading it because now he's gone into singles? So there's a lot of confusion. Bullet Club needs to clean up its own house, and Bullet Club is fine, but they need to clean up their own house before they can go over to AEW and go after the Elite, and hopefully they do that soon. Dave Valentine says Nick Aldis is going to recruit Jay White and Finn Juice to the NWA. I mean, I can see that, but I don't know. Shut Your Mouth says Impact desperately needs to get a better channel than Axis. The problem with Impact has always been its ownership parent companies with the momentum pro wrestling has, Impact could get a TV deal. I mean, Impact's numbers need to get higher for them to get a TV deal. That was the thing with was one of the things that they could tout with All In is that All In did some decent numbers, so they were like, okay, we can work with this. Impact's ratings numbers last time I looked at them weren't, they were about the same thing that New Japan's were, Lucha Underground's were, 150 to maybe 300,000 viewers. Um, I think that maybe the wrestling it might be too saturated right now. But and they're going to get an influx of a lot of people because all those releases from WWE. It's very hard to call what the wrestling business is right now. We've got a lot of wrestlers, we've got a lot of shows, but that hasn't quite translated into us having bigger audiences. WWE's audience has not significantly grown. AEW's got over the million mark and it's keep climbs a little. It's like the climb has slowed a little bit. It got over a million, on a consistent basis, and now they're kind of meandering. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they keep changing the nights of the show. Hopefully, when they move to TBS next year and we don't have these preemptions on Wednesday night for Dynamite, hopefully that will keep because it's like they get to this point where they build the audience and then preempt it, and then the audiences go back down for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they come back, and then it's like they got to start over again. So hopefully, with being on TBS, they want to start over again. What are your thoughts on a House of Torture winning the 6 man? I thought it was Ghost Lawyer. I thought it was time for them to do it. The House of Torture. As long as they're winning, and as long as Evil is involved with the 6 man tag championships, that means he's not involved in the world title picture. So good. House of Torture, cool. Never openweight championship. I'm fine with it. Kuro says that I'm disappointed that Tama lost to Okada at Power Struggle. I was too. I was hoping that they would do something out of left field and give him the win, but they didn't. But again, as usually the first time, again, like I said before, the first time one of these guys gets into a main event spot, New Japan typically, unless it's Okada or Jay White, I can't think of anybody in recent time that they have gone on their first try and then given them a big win. It's usually like this is getting your feet wet. We'll come back to you in 6 months to a year, and then maybe you'll be a realistic contender or maybe win the big one. Have you been watching NWA Power? I haven't been watching anything since Friday or since Saturday because I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't watched anything yet. AEW Battle of the Belts is the same week as Wrestle Kingdom third night, January 8th. I guess so. Mason Goldberg, what's your match of the year to what's your match of the year at this point? Mine is still a Bushi and White from Wrestle Kingdom. That's a hard one, man. There've been a lot of good matches this year, and I'm not even excluding WWE because WWE has some pretty Edge and Roman Reigns is a pretty damn good match. Let's see. I mean, Ibushi and Jay White definitely is. I haven't even thought about my match of the year list yet. That's definitely on there. Um, I mean, Danielson and Omega is going to be in there, but not probably winning it. Um, there's a lot of matches. There's a lot of matches, and of course, the tag title match, the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks in the cage at All Out. I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and because what I usually do in December is I have a week off, and I usually go back and I watch all the matches of the years from all the promotions that I can, and then usually make my because there's some matches I forget about, and I'm like, oh yeah, God, yeah, remember Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in that match from AEW Dynamite. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look at them. I'm gonna wrap this up pretty quickly because yes, I am going to have to go. There's another meeting. So there's another session that I have to attend to, and then there's an after party and stuff. There's a lot of partying going on right now. You can probably tell I'm a little. I've been drinking a little bit. I've been drinking for the last day. It's been crazy. Vegas is Vegas, and it's Vegas. So, but before I go back out there, let me try to wrap up these last few ones. Let's start with Mason. All right, just asked. Oh, I just answered Mason's. Let's do Gray Man Media. So you watching Battle in the Valley, Full Gear, or both? Both. I'm watching both. Dragon Man 585. Good to meet you. Says, do you think Tony Khan should buy Ring of Honor? No, I think I think Ring of Honor. I think he should buy the library to keep it out of Vince's hands. but I don't think they should buy Ring of Honor as a promotion. I want to see what Ring of Honor does with their new. They're almost doing kind of like what culture pro wrestling was supposed to be, which is like probably have a tournament where they can get anybody from any of the places but WWE to participate in like one big mega card or participate in a tournament or something like that. I think if they make Ring of Honor something like that, maybe, but we'll see. We have to see what their reimagining of Ring of Honor is. But I don't think Tony Khan should buy them. I don't want to see Tony Khan uh, falling into the same trap that Jim Crockett did with trying to buy up a bunch of other promotions because that's what Vince did. I think if anything, maybe he should partner up with them, but I don't think he should buy them. He's got his hands full just running one wrestling company, um, and I think if they want to have the library to get it on the streaming service, cool. But um, man, Sinclair Broadcasting's right around the corner from not right around the corner. It's like 15 minutes from my house, but it's just funny that things have gone the way they have gone with Ring of Honor. It's kind of depressing. I used to go to a lot of Ring of Honor shows because they were in Maryland, but what in the world? Who is this person? Okay, you gotta go. You're going in timeout, buddy. You're going in timeout. All right. Yeah, that now is definitely time for me to leave because people are spamming it with stupid stuff. Let's see. Troll Savage, what's going on, dude? Raw did 1.3 in the third hour. Dynamite has exceeded that. I think no, they haven't gone past 1.3 yet. Third hour of Raw was 1.3 million. WWE gone to WWE. Do you think New Japan will ever get a new TV deal in the US? I think they're going to stick with the Roku deal for now. I think the Western expansion thing is kind of cooling off. And the biggest side of that is that Kevin Kelly was not flown to Japan for Power Struggle, and his commentary came like what 2 days later. The English commentary came on a day later. I don't think they're investing too much in the Western expansion. And as far as that aspect of it from the TV broadcast side, I think they're still going to do strong in the dojo. But I think as far as them trying to, I think at this point they realize they may have missed a boat on that, and AEW kind of took over. So, Ghost Lawyer says, "When do you expect either Brian Danielson to go to New Japan or Zack Sabre Jr. to go to AEW to give us that match of the year? We can both do against each other." I think I don't see I don't think that match should go over in AEW. I think that match has got to be done in Japan or in the UK. I don't think then because Zack Sabre Jr.'s style and the pace of impact, the pace of Dynamite is very fast paced. You need something a little bit more sports oriented, like a New Japan show, for a Danielson Zack Sabre Jr. match to get the appreciation from the audience is going to get. I don't think you're going to get it from the AEW Dynamite crowd. So I would rather see that match happen in Japan. But again, Danielson, again, it's all about the quarantining. If Danielson has to quarantine for 2 days, for 2 weeks to get into Japan, or 10 days to get in Japan, and then quarantine for another 10 days to get back in the States, he's not going to leave his kid. He's not going to leave the States. Tony Khan's not going to have him off of Dynamite and Rampage for 3-4 weeks. So it's all about the protocols. Let's get the last couple here. The wrestling fan of me wants Triple H to buy ROH. Oh God, he could fully commit to his version of what NXT was. I mean, it's kind of what NXT was. NXT was kind of the replacement for supposed to be the replacement for Ring of Honor, and then AEW became the replacement for NXT. So I mean, maybe I don't know. It's unlikely, but a man can dream. Yes, I don't think it's likely that Triple H is going to buy. Any of them are going to buy the company because I think our Sinclair Broadcasting. Remember, Sinclair Broadcasting still technically has more money than WWE. They don't invest that much into Ring of Honor, but I mean, Sinclair Broadcasting has a shit ton of money. So they're going to do with what they want to do with their property. Plus, they are a broadcasting network. If they can run and rerun and start a streaming service and do whatever they want with all of that footage they own from years. I mean, they could just make money off of the best of Ring of Honor Volume 1 through 10. With featuring Seth Rollins back when he was Tyler. What the hell was his name? I forgot his name back then. Tyler, whatever his name was back then. Black. whatever his name was. El Generico, Kevin Steen, CM Punk in a heyday, Brian Danielson in a heyday, all those old matches of all the New Japan guys coming in the Ring of Honor and those dream matches and stuff. They can live off of that, but they've got to pay their talent for stuff. So yeah. I think I answered that question. Guys, I want some main event New Japan guys to come through the forbidden door, says Troll Savage. Jay White tease, but nothing has come of it. Yeah, I think AEW's they have to work that into their schedule. I think the best. I think you're only going to get one at a time. They worked Minoru Suzuki into a couple of weeks, which was good stuff. I love. That's another match of the year contender. Minoru Suzuki and Brian Danielson from that pre-show for Rampage. So I think it's probably going to be until they get the ones we want to see. Is we want to see El Idolo coming in. Let's just list them. El Idolo coming in against, or Naito coming in against El Idolo, especially if El Idolo has his own Los Ingobernables at that time. That would be awesome. We want to see Okada and Omega, obviously. We want to see Kota Ibushi and Omega. We want to see the Bullet Club come in against the Elite. We want to see Kenta come in against both Danielson and CM Punk. I mean, these are just a couple of them off the top of my head that we want to see. So it's going to take time to get through all of those. And I think AEW's got to work it in with what they're doing. So it's not something you can throw. Now I wouldn't want them to throw it together because it would be a mess. I want them to think it through before they just come out with it. Let's see the last ones. Dragonman says Khan could turn ROH into AEW Developmental League. I've heard that somewhere else before. Javid says, do you think Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom might be based on the Forbidden Door? Nah, I think they want to give Hiromu his main event at the Tokyo Dome. I think if Hiromu cannot get injured, I think they want to give him his. That's what the Night 2 is going to be focused on, is the juniors finally getting a main event match at the Tokyo Dome show. Let's see. Ibushi versus Omega is the end game. I believe so. Hey man, can I get you on my podcast? I would love to have you on my show. Sumo, I would like to do some podcasts. If you guys have noticed, I haven't done too many collabs lately. I am majorly busy, and this conference has let me. It's gonna, let me put it this way. It's gonna be hard for me just to get up to 3 videos a week on Wrestle Rantin pretty soon. I'm trying to desperately think about delegating some things out because there's a lot of stuff coming up right now, and that's why I'm here. And things will be changing. I'm going to do as much as I can with the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling and Wrestling with Finance and the gaming channel, but I don't. What I don't want to do is I don't want this channel to get to the point where it doesn't have at least 2 to 3 videos a week, which is why I'm doing this right now because I haven't done a video since Friday. So I wanted, and I can't do it while I'm here because I don't have my editing equipment. So I wanted to do a live stream. Maybe I'll do some more of these in the future. But yeah. But if shoot me a message on Twitter and I'll discuss it. But my time is it's very precious right now. It's very short, but I will try to do one. Let's see. Troll Savage says Ibushi versus Omega, saying, yeah, I read that. And do you think Bushiroad could potentially put more money on Strong? I think they're going to have to. I think New Japan is. They're not too much. It doesn't seem like they're into investing money into the product. I think they want to put out something, get the money, and then invest the money into the product. So I don't think they're going to take a risk on it. And they've been burned before because the thing about New Japan and the States, and I was saying this like a couple years ago with the mistake they made when they booked the San Francisco show that I went to that was headlined by, I think that was Cody and Omega headlining it at the Cow Palace. I don't think they promoted it right. I think they did it too soon. I think they did it to the fact that I think there was like oddly enough 6,666 people there or something like that. In a 13,000 seat arena, it was kind of a bad aesthetically. The show didn't work, and their second Walter Pyramid show, even though the first one was amazing, the second one was very sparsely attended. So I think they got to get a grasp on how Western audiences respond to those shows and how they show up for those shows before they do anything else. So yes, and now it's 9:30 here. So that is it, guys. Thank you very much. I am glad we got to spend at least 40 minutes this week talking about wrestling. I will be back next week for the regular, usual videos when I get back to Baltimore. But I did want to check in with you guys and did want to catch up on some wrestling stuff. I will be watching Dynamite tomorrow, so I may come back on Thursday night to recap that before I leave and head back to the East Coast. But thank you guys for checking out this live stream. And if you guys have any questions or comments or anything else, let your voice be heard in the comment box below. This light is very bright and it's making me look like I'm squinting instead of like whatever. But I will see you guys back for a proper show either later this week or next week. Until then, guys, be safe out there. Keep watching stuff. I will catch up on all the news and we will talk before this weekend. And then we got a full weekend of stuff, obviously, with Battle in the Valley and with Full Gear. So until then, I'll see you guys next time for more news, rumors, and live streams here on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.